Canadian Music by Julia DePerfettis and Sarah Lafleur-Vetter. We know you thought that all Canadians could do was yodel, but au contraire, Canada has a rich musical history. Such record-breaking historical powerhouses as Neil Young and Leonard Cohen set the stage in the 60s and 70s for serious musical prowess, and contemporary Canadian music is moving this legacy forward. You could be listening to a Canadian in your earphones right now and not even know it. Better read on and find out. Neil Young has been making amazing music since the 60s. That's half a century for those of you who are bad at math, at least twice as long as you've been around. And while there have been a couple of bad albums along the way, the other 30-some are just golden. That is, they stand the test of time. You can pick up an album recorded 40 years ago and it still remains potent. That's because Neil sings straight from the heart and with all the honesty and hurt one needs from a country-tinged folk rock musician. And with a voice like no other, a high-pitched croon that soars over a rusty old guitar, it's kind of like what you get when you cross a bird song with a broken bicycle. And he remains relevant today. Neil wrote Let's Roll, a song for 9/11 victims, and also penned the eerie lyric, "Better to burn out than to fade away," which Kurt Cobain cited in his 1994 suicide letter. So we know he's no joke. This man has got soul. If Neil Young brought soul to Canadian music, then Leonard Cohen brought poetry. Yup, the world would be a pretty grim and meaningless place if Cohen never came along. Originally a poet, Cohen broke into the music industry in the late 60s. His music oozes emotion. It's sadder than watching Schindler's List, deeper than a Beethoven symphony, and more sublime than a David Lynch movie. His songs are about sex, war, religion, isolation, and the complexity of intimate relationships. So if you can't relate to his songs, you're boring. Both of these guys are some of the most distinguished and influential songwriter-singers of the late 20th century. Listen to them. They know what they're talking about. In recent years, Canadian music has exploded internationally as an important new scene. Canadians bring a refreshing new outlook to rock music, one that is full of collaboration and listening as opposed to selling out and competing against other up-and-coming musicians. Popular indie rock acts such as Arcade Fire, Metric, Broken Social Scene, Feist, Stars, and Bell Orchestra have all collaborated with each other, frequently appearing on each other's records and concert tours. This kind of ego-free collaboration is often what produces the best music, because the people involved are truly in it for the art and not to get famous, make money, or to get laid. But the Canadian music scene isn't just limited to indie rock. Canada boasts an important pop music scene. Think Avril Lavigne, Shania Twain, Nelly Furtado, Our Lady Peace, Alanis Morissette, Nickelback, Sum 41, Sarah McLachlan, and Celine Dion, as well as an emerging hip-hop scene. There is also a fair amount of cross-genre music going on, such as electronic hip-hop artist 6'2", who is gaining popularity incredibly fast. More popular urban music that you may see on MTV includes artists such as Jolie Black, KOS, Buck 65, and Cadence Weapon. We'd be a bunch of ignoramuses if we didn't mention something about French-Canadian artists in this article. Although these musicians get much less attention, they are often incredibly talented and probably deserve an entire article all to themselves. One popular Quebecois rock band called Malajube is extremely popular among francophones. But if you're looking for something a bit softer, I'd have to recommend Pierre Lapointe. Lapointe has a beautiful voice and performs with top-notch musicians, creating an eclectic and accessible sound that anyone would like. Lastly, if you're into more hard rock, check out Death from Above, 1979. Although they broke up earlier this year, their album, You're a Woman, I'm a Machine, remains wildly popular with the Canadian hipster crowd.